AITA for having this boundary with my 1-month-old son. My wife and I went to the mall with her family with our 1-month-old son. My wife's dad is the one pushing our baby son's stroller around. We are waiting for the elevator to go to an upper level of the mall. We were waiting for a while, but then my wife's dad decided it would be alright to bring the stroller upstairs via escalator. My wife was okay with it, and so was the rest of her family. I personally felt uncomfortable with it because my son is a young baby and I just feel like doing that type of thing puts our baby's safety at risk. So we went up the escalator with my wife's dad holding the stroller on the escalator. Everything was fine. Everyone was safe. We had a convo about the situation after, and I said that when it comes to a situation where our baby's safety is at risk, she needs to make sure that both of us are on board with it. She argued that she used to see her parents do that escalator trick all the time with her younger sisters and it was okay. I told her it does not matter what her parents did with their kids, this is our kid. She argued that she did not see this as a situation where she needed to consult me. Now I did agree that next time I should speak up, but should she have consulted me if it was okay for her family to just take our baby up on the escalator without both of us being okay with it? The compromise I'm asking for is that when it comes to our baby's safety, both of us need to be on board. Who is the a-hole? Should my wife have consulted me? Should my wife have more alarms going off in her head when it comes to little situations such as these? Should I have just spoken up, or should my wife not even put me in an uncomfortable situation with her side of the family in the first place? Is my wife's dad in the wrong? We are also first-time parents, so we are ironing these things out. My wife is great and we are open to learning. AITA for telling my sil to stop projecting her bullshit feelings onto my son. My husband is his family's golden child. This caused a lot of resentment from his younger siblings, which I understood completely. But they're milking it. My husband gives them so much money and they just ask for more, shamelessly using their childhood as an excuse. I've told him to stop helping, but he insists that he has to. It's like talking to a wall, but our kids are happy, fed, and get whatever their hearts desire, so I let it slide. My kids are the only thing that matter to me, and until recently, his sisters haven't tried anything with them. We have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. 3-year-old is not talking yet, but the doctor assured us that he is most likely just a late bloomer. He has no underlying issues, so we're choosing not to stress out and simply encourage him. We were invited to a family dinner by my in-laws, and unfortunately his sisters were present as well. My husband knows sign language and he suggested signing to our son because we do need him to communicate somehow just in case. So if we want to ask if he's hungry, we say hungry and sign it at the same time to our son. We do this with a few things. We kindly taught my in-laws a few significant things as well. So once the food was ready, my mill was signing and saying food to my son. He signed it back. He has begun to do this, but it's his first time doing it in front of his grandma, so she got a little excited. This caught my sil's attention and they asked what was up. My husband explained the situation to them. 2 of the 3 were like whatever, but his youngest sister said sign language? That's a bit extra. He asked her why and she said, I mean, there's nothing wrong with him, right? The sign language is just a bit forced. Makes you guys look a bit desperate. I can only imagine the expectations you guys must have of him. I was confused. She noticed and decided to explain her point, even though I was willing to leave it alone. I mean, my brother's used to perfection, so I'm sure he can't stand the thought of his own child being anything less, but he's 3 and there's so much pressure on him. I know what it's like to be in his shoes, you know. I was a little shocked. My husband noticed and told her to mind her own, but I was insulted. I told her to stop projecting her bullshit feelings onto my son. She was all like, excuse me? Bullshit feelings? My experiences are valid, I said, sure, which did sound pretty sarcastic. I just can't bring myself to care anymore. The other sisters started piling onto me too. We left early. Husband hasn't said anything, but my mill called and asked me to apologize because I went too far. My one sil has a TikTok dedicated to her trauma and posted a TikTok about the situation, and my mill said it doesn't look good for us. AITA, my 23F boyfriend, M24, said I'm emotionally manipulative and use SX as a weapon. Yesterday my boyfriend and I got into an argument over text. Last night, when we'd both gotten into bed for the night, he started to kiss me and then progressed towards foreplay. I told him I wasn't in the mood. He got frustrated immediately and said it wasn't right for me to use SX as a weapon to punish him for an argument. He said that's emotional manipulation. I told him I just wasn't in the mood, but he insisted I was withholding to punish him for not agreeing with him earlier. So I said fine, but since I wasn't in the mood, I didn't really participate. I just laid there and let him do all the work. He got frustrated about that too and called it further manipulation. At this point I got frustrated and said I wasn't a circus animal that did tricks on command, and if I'm not in the mood, I'm not in the mood. He pulled out and told me to flip over because he didn't want to look at my face due to what a BTCH I was being. I refused. He tried to flip me over, so I got up and went into the living room to sleep on the couch. He followed me into the living room, and we started to argue more, and he told me he needed me to take care of his stiffy, but I told him no. Again, he got upset about me being a BTCH. I ended up sleeping in the living room. I'm so mad at him, and I'm starting to lose attraction for him, but we are on a lease together for another 8 months, so I can't break up with him before that. What's a good way to resolve this conflict and make our relationship amicable again? I don't want to sleep on the couch for the next 8 months or do it doggy style for the rest of that time either. My M40 wife, 38F, only likes 2 of our kids. My wife and I have 5 kids, 4 boys and a girl, 6 to 17. Last week I was talking to Adam about his senior year plans, and he said something that made me reevaluate everything. I said it was bittersweet to watch him grow up because I'll miss him so much when he leaves. He said, you will, Mom won't, very casually, like it's a known fact. I said that was ridiculous, and he just said okay. So I spent a week watching my wife, just quietly observing how she talks to our kids. I realized that Adam is right. She doesn't like him. She doesn't like Carol either. Adam and Carol are our two most social kids. They both have a lot of friends and do a lot of group activities. My wife and I have always been homebodies, and we prefer to stay home and read or enjoy a nice meal rather than going out. I noticed my wife continually makes comments about Adam and Carol, their friends and how they spend their time. Adam and Carol don't even respond, which makes me think this has been going on for a while and I just never noticed. It's even worse with David. She just ignores him, and he completely ignores her. They don't talk at all. He spends all his free time in his room playing video games. I already knew he liked to spend a lot of time on his games, but he's always willing to talk to me about his games when I ask. Him and his mother though, radio silence. In contrast, my wife talks to Brian all day, takes great interest in everything he has to say and praises him constantly. Eric, while only 6, she is always cuddling and telling him how great he is. I don't know how I never noticed this before. I don't even know how to talk to her about this. Is there any way to raise the topic that doesn't sound like an accusation? AITA for telling my stepfather I might throw my graduation party in his face forever? When I graduated, my family threw a big graduation party for me. I said I wanted my entire family to be there. If anyone wanted separate celebrations we could just not celebrate, because it was my big day and I'm sick of that shit. Everyone agreed and promised to be nice to each other. At the party things were going really well at first. Everyone was having fun. Then my stepfather started giving my stepmother a bunch of unsolicited advice about her daughter and her daughter's autism. My stepsister was also right there and could hear what he was saying. My dad told my stepfather to walk away, but he kept insisting he knew what he's talking about because he's a teacher. It eventually devolved into a screaming match where my stepmother called him a worthless piece of SHT and he called her a psychotic CNT. The party was ruined. I got my grandparents to kick my stepfather out, but the mood was ruined, and my dad's side of the family quickly found excuses to leave, so I pulled the plug on the party. Each time my stepfather has tried to talk to me since then I've said, "What's up, guy who ruined my graduation party?" This really upsets him. He said it's not fair to blame him, because my stepmother acted just as poorly. I said it is fair, and I absolutely blame him. He asked how long I would blame him for and keep throwing the party in his face. I said maybe forever. He said I was too old to be acting like such a little a-hole. My mom asked me to be the bigger person and let sleeping dogs lie, but I'm not ready to do that. These dogs are very much awake and pissed off. Am I the a-hole for that? My girlfriend just gave birth to our first child. I know I'm not the biological father and I revealed I knew as soon as she gave birth. I found out when she was about 6 months along. The guy, Brian, approached me at my work. "Are you Sarah's boyfriend?" I said yeah and asked what he wanted. He said he was sorry that he had slept with her and swore he didn't know that she was with someone. I don't believe that. He then pulled out his phone to show the texts between them. They had been sleeping together or linking up for at least a year. Then she found out she was pregnant and they came to an agreement to just pretend the baby was mine. In return, she wouldn't lose her perfect life and he wouldn't be responsible for a baby. I knew it was weird. We had been having problems trying for a baby and all of a sudden she got pregnant so easily. But he explained that he had been thinking about it and he recently became a Christian. He said that he couldn't live his life knowing that I was living a lie while his child didn't know their real father. I told him I'd keep in touch, and to not say that he said anything just yet. I've had a lot of time to think but ultimately I decided to wait until she gave birth, to hurt her in her most vulnerable moment. She went into labor, the baby was born, and was taken to the NICU to be monitored for a bit. What should have been a beautiful moment of me holding my baby, was the most heartbreaking time of my life. Just knowing he was not mine hurt me. Once she was sewn up and comfortable I started packing up my stuff to leave. She asked where I was going and I just told her. I know I'm not the baby's father. You can act all shocked but I know. Just ask Brian to come. I'm positive he'll sign the birth certificate. Then I left. She's been calling my phone over and over, even sending texts as I type this, and has even gotten her sister to call me a few times. It was hard pretending these last few months but I think I'm satisfied. I feel really heartbroken though. I was planning to propose to her on the day our baby was born. I was gonna make her the happiest woman ever. Oh well, I'm going to get wasted now. Head hurts, but I'm home and safe. Brian is going to be in the baby's life if it's his. I don't care what anyone says, I'm sure the kid isn't mine. I'll go get tested but me and Brian have been in contact since last night and there isn't a doubt at my mind. For those of you calling me a psychopath or whatever, I don't really care. You'll all forget about this post in a day anyway, while I'll have to live with this shit for the rest of my life. What I did wasn't amazing but I don't care. All I ever did was treat her amazing and this is how she pays me back. Update: my girlfriend just gave birth to our first child. I know I'm not the biological father and I revealed I knew as soon as she gave birth. I am not the father, but I already knew that deep down. Brian and the baby are a match so that pretty much answers that question. He's very excited to be a dad, even despite the circumstances. We've kept in touch this whole time and he's actually a really great guy. Goes to church now, volunteers at shelters, etc. I'm not sure if we'll continue to stay in touch after this but I wouldn't mind getting a drink with him every once in a while. I hope the kid does great in life. He should with Brian as his dad. As for Sarah, around the time I posted she had asked Brian to be with her officially since there was nothing to hide. As far as I know he has not taken her up on that offer and just wants to co-parent for the sake of being in his kid's life. I think that's very smart of him honestly. Me and her have talked as well. We talked about where it all went wrong. She felt as though I wasn't there for her fully and just felt unfulfilled. Which I understand. I wasn't always the best guy, but I treated her the best I could. I guess it just wasn't meant to be. She started crying and I did give her a hug, but I made sure she knew it wasn't because I cared about her. She's offered to stay friends and for me to visit if I want, but I declined. I'm not really interested in keeping up with her and her kid, but I did give her the stuffed animal I was planning to give our kid someday as a gift. She's been staying with her mom and has fully moved out her stuff. She asked me to keep her number, but I blocked her the same day she finished moving out. So it's just me now. I'm not gonna lie, my heart has been super heavy, but I think I'll be okay. There's a cute girl at my work and we've been talking. She's a single mom and has been awesome so far. I explained that I wanted to go slow because of my recent breakup and she understands. We've hooked up once or twice, nothing serious yet. I just want to be by myself for now, but I'll likely give her a shot when I'm ready. That's it for now. I'm depressed, but I'm working out now at least. I never want to talk to Sarah and will likely never see her again. It sucks because she was such a big part of my life, but that's gone now. I still don't feel bad about what I did. I can tell she's still hurting, but I definitely think it's still deserved. My wife went out last night and didn't come home until this morning. This is horrible. I'm furious right now, but I'm also depressed as hell. I know what I have to do. It's just killing me that I have to do it. It's fresh, and it hurts a lot. My wife didn't come home last night. She went out with a couple of girlfriends, which is pretty normal for her. She's normally back around 2 a.m. on these nights, so I waited up. Around 2:30, I called to check in. She answered, and I could hear people in the background. She told me they went to a party but were leaving in a couple of minutes. She wasn't home by 3, so I texted. It delivered, but no reply. Around 4 a.m. I called again. It rang a couple of times before she sent me to voicemail. My wife finally came stumbling through the door at 6:47 a.m. this morning. I know the exact time because I was worried. She was wearing a dress she didn't leave the house in, with mesh leggings I've never seen either. The leggings had clearly been torn, and her makeup was smudged. My heart sank when I saw her. My immediate worry was that she had been assaulted. She only shook her head no when I asked her that. I asked her what she had been doing then. She only said that I knew what she had been doing, and that kind of confirmed what the voice in the back of my head had been screaming since she walked in. My wife cheated on me last night. I asked her who it was. She shrugged almost casually and said it was somebody they met at the club. She went back to his house and hooked up with him, then Ubered home. She then said she didn't want to fight and just wanted to sleep. So that's what she did. She's still asleep now, and didn't even take a shower before passing out. Suffice to say our relationship is over. We don't have any kids, and we rent, so it shouldn't be an extremely complicated process. I keep trying to reason myself out of it, pretending there might be something to salvage here. I've always maintained that cheating would be a red line for me though. I think I need to stick to that now. AITA for calling my brother's girlfriend Miss Piggy for eating our food after we told her not to. Last year my brother moved in with me and my roommate. When he moved in, his girlfriend started spending a lot of time at our place. This isn't a problem as my roommate's girlfriend comes over too. My brother's GF pretty much eats all our food. No matter who it is, she will eat it. My roommate and I have told her multiple times to stop eating the food we buy and only eat the food brother buys, but she ignores us and eats our food anyway. We have confronted her and my brother multiple times and told them she needs to stop, but she just says tee sorry but it's so good, and he refuses to say anything about it. We both have tried to talk him into going to her house instead of bringing her over, but he doesn't want to. It's gotten to the point where both of us are considering getting a second fridge to put a lock on. We're both sick of it. Brother's GF is a heavy girl and weight is a very touchy issue with her. Well, recently both of us have taken to calling her Miss Piggy when she eats our food. If we ever see her eating our food or after she has, we confront her and call her it. She hates it and freaks out each time she hears us refer to her as it. Honestly though, she still eats our food, and so we kept doing it. Today when I got home from work, his GF was there eating leftovers I had cooked last night. I told her, wow, I love to come home to see Miss Piggy eating my leftovers that I was looking forward to too. Before I started oinking at her, she broke down crying and ran out. She's been calling my brother furiously since and is refusing to come here anymore because I'm an a-hole. Am I? We asked her so much to stop and she didn't. I honestly just lost it. We all buy our own food and we have a rule never to touch each other's stuff. She knows this and she still did it, so I think she deserved it.